all have this image in mind. It's seared into our collective consciousness, a predator with massive curved daggers protruding from its jaws, a body brimming with muscle, an expressionless yet terrifying face familiar from countless museum dioramas, documentaries, and Hollywood blockbusters. It's the logo on NFL helmets, the villain in children's shows, and the epitome of raw, prehistoric violence. But the story we tell ourselves about this animal is a fairy tale. The saber-tooth tiger is a misnomer, a label that has as little to do with reality as a dragon does with a lizard. We've pigeonholed it into a category it never filled. When we uncover the scientific truth behind the bones, we discover not a clumsy monster, but one of the most specialized, social, and fascinating creatures ever to inhabit this planet. And we discover that its demise is a warning we must understand now more urgently than ever. Let's start with the etymology because it's the root of our misunderstanding. Saber-toothed tiger. The name implies a close relationship to Panthera tigris, but genetic and anatomical reality could not be further from the truth. Fatal Smilodon. The species we usually mean belong to the subfamily Machairodontiinae. Its ancestors diverged from the lineage that evolved into our modern lions, tigers, and leopards over 20 million years ago. This means that the Smilodon, for millions of years, it has followed its own independent evolutionary path. While modern cats have focused on speed, agility, and endurance, the Smilodon an anatomy that was completely out of the ordinary. He is not a tiger, he is not even a close relative. He is a distant cousin who has maneuvered himself into an evolutionary dead end, or rather into an evolutionary perfection that no longer has a place in the modern world. The central mystery, of course, is the teeth. For over 150 years, paleontologists debated the purpose of these 18-centimeter-long blades. Imagine teeth so long they extended centimeters beyond the lower jaw. They were so thin that modern experts know they would have shattered instantly under lateral pressure. For example, if prey had tossed its head back and forth. Herein lies the fundamental error of our imagination. We think predators must bite like a dog or a lion, which sinks its teeth deep into the neck and holds them there. But Smilodon, he wasn't a biter, he was a butter. His jaw muscles were quite weak compared to a lion's, but this was compensated for by neck muscles that were second to none. To even be able to use its teeth, the animal developed an almost snake-like flexibility. It could open its mouth to an angle of 120 degrees. This wasn't an expression of aggression, but a necessity to clear its teeth out of the way before the fatal thrust. It was a surgical procedure. The animal rammed its teeth into soft tissue, the throat or abdomen of its prey, with the combined power of its shoulders and neck. A single, perfect blow. The prey was dead before it could realize what had happened. No hours of hunting, no exhausting struggle, just precision. If you Smilodon, if you mentally compare it to a modern lion, the difference in physique becomes immediately clear. The cat we know today is aerodynamic, athletic, designed for sprinting and ambush. Smilodon, in contrast, it was a massive, low-lying powerhouse. His center of gravity was low. His forelegs were extraordinarily muscular. The attachment points for the muscles on his humerus surpassed those of any modern predator of his size. His tail was short, almost like that of a lynx or a bear. His spine was stiff, less flexible. Why? Because he wasn't built for maneuvering at high speed. He was built for the clinch. He didn't need to chase his prey, he needed to wrestle it to the ground, pin it, and then deliver the decisive blow. His claws were semi-retractable, meaning they could only be partially retracted. This gave him the necessary grip on the ground to push and hold enormous loads. He was a wrestler in a world full of giants. Here we leave the realm of anatomy and enter the realm of ethology, of behavior. The La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles are arguably the most important paleontological site in the world. For 50,000 years, these natural asphalt pools served as deadly traps. An animal would get stuck, a predator would come to eat it, and would itself become prey. Over 1 million bones have been recovered here, and the statistics are breathtaking. There are more Smilodon fossils more abundant than those of any other large predator species. Why? The theory that has changed our understanding is spectacular. Social behavior. We found bones from animals suffering from degenerative diseases, severe arthritis, completely deformed spines, old, crookedly healed fractures. According to our classic idea of a cruel predator, these animals wouldn't have survived a week in the wild. They couldn't hunt. But they did survive, for months, maybe years. This is only possible because other members of the pack brought them food. Smilodon was not a lone hunter. It was a social being. It understood empathy, cooperation, and care. This discovery sheds entirely new light on the Ice Age monster. It was not a soulless killer. It was a creature with deep social bonds, looking out for one another in one of the harshest environments in history. To the Smilodon, to understand him, one must understand the world he lived in. North America in the Pleistocene was a Serengeti on steroids. Mammoths, mastodons, bison with horn spans of 3 meters, camels, horses, and giant sloths as big as elephants. Smilodon was the undisputed ruler of this world. For over 2 million years, this system functioned perfectly. And then, about 10,000 years ago, the unthinkable happened. Within just 1,000 years, it was all over. 34 genera of megafauna disappeared. That's a mere blink of an eye in the geological timescale. Scientists are hotly debating the causes. Was it a comet impact that led to a sudden cooling of the Younger Dryas period? This is not a conspiracy theory. The evidence for microscopic diamonds and platinum deposits in soil layers worldwide is real, albeit controversial. Was it climate change? Or was it humankind with its spears and strategic thinking that introduced an entirely new form of predation against which these animals had no defense mechanisms? It was probably the combination. Smilodon was too specialized. His entire biology was geared towards a world of giants. When the giants disappeared, his basis for existence disappeared, and he was no longer able to adapt to the changed world. The most exciting thing about this story is that the Smilodon he never truly left. He left echoes in nature. The pronghorn, which lives in what is now the American prairies, is the second fastest land mammal in the world. Why? There is no natural predator today that can challenge it at that speed. It still outruns the American cheetah, a predator that has been extinct for 10,000 years. That's an evolutionary hangover. We see the same thing with the avocado, whose enormous pit was once dispersed by the giant sloths of the Ice Age. The sloths are gone, but the plant still produces the pit for a recipient that no longer exists. These ghosts of evolution show us that Earth's ecosystems have a living memory. We live in a world whose rules were written in a time long past. Why am I telling you all this? Because the Smilodon is a mirror. We are currently in the midst of the 6th major extinction event. If we are losing species today, be they insects, amphibians, or large mammals, it is not because these animals have failed. Smilodon, he was not a failure. He was a masterpiece of evolution. He dominated for 2 million years. He did not become extinct through stupidity, but because the world to which he was perfectly adapted was swept away beneath him. We today are the architects of this change. We are changing the climate, the habitat, the fabric of the world. And we face the same question that the Smilodon couldn't answer that question back then. Can we adapt to the world we are creating? The Smilodon. This is not a warning about monsters. It is a reminder of the fragility of specialization. We keep its bones in drawers. We make films about its teeth. But we overlook the most important lesson. An animal so complex that it cared for its injured companions is not what we should call primitive. We have a responsibility toward the complexity of life that we now trample underfoot. The end of the Smilodonid came quickly. The world changed, and for the king of the Ice Age, there was no tomorrow. When we look into the archives of Earth's history today, we see not just the end of a predator. We see the end of an era, and we see a warning. The bones in the La Brea tar pits have left us their story, a story of solidarity, precision, and tragic demise. It is up to us to listen before the next world we live in also becomes history.